Thank you.
Greetings, colleagues, learners, and everyone else following my channel, Qeqeshwane Digital Classroom. Today we are going to learn a few things, the basics of Microsoft Excel. On the keyboard, please punch the Windows button. Once you punch the Windows button, it will bring you here, and then you type Excel. Click Excel 2016. This is what you will see. In other words, you have templates. These are ready-made documents which you just change here and there and finish your document. Or you could start with a blank document. A blank workbook. A workbook is a collection of worksheets. Here you have sheet 1, which we can right click on this sheet and rename. Because we are going to develop a mark sheet, let's just say grade 10A. Okay, and then if you click on this plus sign, if I can just show you here, if you are going to click on that plus sign, if you click on this plus sign, it will simply add another sheet and give you the plus sign again to add another sheet. So let's rename this and say, rename it and say graph 1. We shall come back to this later on. I said a collection of worksheet 1, 2, and any number of worksheets equals to a workbook. A worksheet has got more than 17 billion of these rectangles here. If you hold down, for example, on the keyboard, hold down Ctrl and then punch this down arrow. Let's do that. Control down arrow. It's taking us to line 1,048,576. That's the number of lines we have downwards. If I can just show you for convenience the number of columns that we have. This is the number of columns that we have horizontally. 16,384. They go up to XFD, as you can see over there. FXD. That's the number of columns you have in this worksheet. That is why Microsoft Excel is also called the spreadsheet. If you can spread it out, take it out of this machine and spread it out, you would have a soccer field. I'm telling you. Now, let us hold Ctrl and then punch home. Ctrl and then you go to home without releasing Ctrl. That will take you to the beginning of our worksheet. Control home. We are at the beginning of our worksheet. Now this is called a cell reference. If you look here, it's A1. Can you see that it's written A1 here? Why is it A1? What it means is that column A intercepts with row 1. If you go to this one, for example, here, this would be cell reference D4. If I click here, there you are, D4. Why? Column D intercepts with row 4 here. They meet here. It's a meeting point. We call that a cell reference. So these little blocks here are cells. It's important to know these things, because if I say select a column, you need to know that I'm talking about the vertical projections, these vertical columns here. If I say select a row, I'm talking about these horizontal ones. With that said, why not start our mark sheet right away? I'm I'm starting here with the mark sheet. For convenience, let's use 10. You can use any number of learners up to 100, up to 200, depending on the size of your class. But for convenience, let us just use 10. So I'm going to say Maholeho Andres. Next one, Tabo. Let's start with the surnames. Mukoni, Tabo. Third one, Nkosi Ali. Fourth one, Nkuna Togo. Next one will be Mabena Alice. You type your learners. The sixth one will be Kosana and Dombi. Seventh one, Mamabulo Troy. Kosana Albert. 9, Buddha Senzo. The 10th one will be Koza Amos. Now, already we have a small problem here. Can you see that when I click on column A, these names are out of bounds? Therefore, I have to enlarge this column. We just go up here, go up, move up with your cursor. As soon as it turns into a double arrow like that, you click and hold. Click and hold, then swipe to the right. Aha! Now everything is within column A, and column A is bigger than the rest of these other columns. But we forgot something now. We did not. Where are we going to write the marks? Where are we going to write the types of tasks that we want to give these learners? So no sweat. We don't have to start afresh. All we do is move here to the one, right click. As we right click, you will see a menu popping up like that, and then we insert. As soon as we insert, now we have a line above our names. Now we've got a second problem. Now our names start with number 2. You see? Now these numbers will not print out. I must point that one out. These numbers that you see will not print out. If I print this list right now, it's going to print without the numbers. Okay? It's important to understand that. But if you do want numbers, all you have to do now is come to this column here. Once you move up here to this column, you will see that your cursor, this thing here that I'm moving, will turn into this blackish black arrow. You right click and insert. Can you see that now the names have moved to column B and I have a blank column A. Now I can type my numbers 1 and 2 only. You just type 1 and 2 only. The rest you will autofill. How do we do this? We call this autofill. Okay, you click here, hold down shift on the keyboard, punch the down arrow. If I can just show you that. Here is your shift. Over here, here's another one. They do the same thing. And then without releasing it, you punch this arrow here, the down arrow, the one that I'm encircling here. Right, let's do that. Shift down arrow, and then it will take you here. It will look like this. Okay, let me just zoom in a little bit so that we can see what we are doing. Once it looks like this, you move now to this. Can you see this squarish dot at the end of the green rectangle? Right. And then once it turns into a plus sign like that, you click and hold. drag down, drag down, drag down, drag down, right up to Khoza or whatever the number of your learners will be. Now we need to start typing in the tasks that these learners must be given. Okay, I think we need to add one more row above. So you go back to that one, right click and insert. Can you see that now I have 1, 2 columns, but my numbers have not changed here. Can you see? But the numbers on the side, in other words the number of rows, yes, now it starts at number 3 if you look at the alignment with the names. You don't have to worry about these. These are the numbers of the rows that we are working with here, and not necessarily what's going to print out. What's going to print out is what we auto-filled here. I hope that is clear. Okay, here for example we can say names of learners, whatever, and then but now you see it looks like the names. Can we make it look better? Okay, we can just click on it and make it bold, for example. Did you see where I did that? Here I clicked on bold and it became bold. We can even put it at the center. Can you see where I am? Over here. If you look at this, this is center your content. Okay, so I'm clicking on that alignment. The center, there's align right, there's align left, and so on. So I'm going to click center. Now it's at the center. All right, here I have to do something again. The marks will be here, but here I want to write the names of the tasks. But now the problem is it's too small. The rectangle is too small, so I want to make the letters or whatever I'm going to write in there, the names or the names of the tasks, to be vertically aligned. Okay, not a problem. For example, I will say here task 1. All right, but look at it. I don't like it like this. It has, if I say task 1 for example, and then I go colon written work, what's going to happen? Now again it's out of bounds. And now because I'm going to type marks in here, I don't need horizontal space. Okay, I need to vertically align this. How do we do this? Let me say I want to vertically align everything that I'm going to type in here. How many tasks am I going to have? For argument's sake, we are just going to do term 1. Okay, let us assume that our term 1 is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tasks. Okay, now we have selected. You click here, hold down shift on the keyboard, punch the right arrow key progressively up to where you want to select. After that, anywhere here, anywhere where you have selected, you can just right click on the touchpad or your mouse. If you are using a mouse, you right click and then you move down slowly to format cells over here, and then you click format cells. It will bring up this dialog here. I am going to zoom it in a little bit so that we are able to see what we are working with. Now what we are dealing with is alignment. Okay, not numbers for now, not font, not border, not fill, not protection, but alignment. So we click on alignment. The moment we click on alignment, we are interested in the orientation over here, and we said we wanted our text to be vertically aligned. So we are going to click on this red dot here. Over here we click on this red dice like dot, and we move it to 90 degrees. Alternatively, we could have just typed 90 here. Can you see when I remove, there's nothing inside? If I type 45, it will take me to 45 there. If I type 90 on the keyboard, it takes me to 90 degrees. All right, now I'm able to go down here and click OK. Look at that. Now our columns or the names of tasks will be written inside here, and they will be vertically aligned. Let us click bold again now to make it look bigger, and we can even, let me see if we'll be able to center. Yes, center align that. We center align that. We can do all of them. We did up to H, okay? So we can center align everything there. Just click there twice. Everything is now center aligned, and we have our, now what is going to be the maximum for the written work? Let us say it was 50, and then we go to this, just type in your tasks as well. I'm going to type task 2 here, and don't worry as it's typing horizontally. Immediately you finish and you click outside, it will automatically align itself to the vertical format. Now task 2 will be, for example, oral work. I'm just making an example, and once I click outside, it is automatically aligned vertically. Then I click again on the box and click bold, 3 colon written work again. Okay, and then I click outside, click in the box again, bold, and then click on column F. Now instead of task 4, now I'm going to say term total. Going to write our term total here. We are going to write our percentage here, and then here we are going to create a level. I want to show you the magic of Microsoft Excel. Everything here has to be automated. We are not going to type in marks here and after that take a calculator and calculate each mark. No, we don't do it like that. Excel does that for you. That is why I call it the magic app. Now this one's going to be 50, oral is going to be 10, task 3 is going to be 40, for example, and then term total will be 100. Our percentage obviously going to be 100, and then our level goes up to level 7. Okay, we leave these as they are. Now start typing the marks. Right, now that we have typed in the marks, we are going to park on cell reference F3. Remember what this means? It means we are on column F, and we are where column F intercepts with row number 3. Okay, so that will be F3. We park there. We want to know the total for tasks 1, 2, and 3, which is term 1. Okay, so we are just going to punch equal sign. Why equal sign? It's a mathematical operation. It's a mathematical formula that we are creating. So equal sign, then we type sum, S-U-M. We open a bracket. How do you open bracket? Shift 9. You'll see that on your keyboard. Sum, equal sign, sum. Look for those buttons on the keyboard, and then open bracket, shift 9. It will be shift 9 on your keyboard. Don't release the shift. And then we must give the correct cell references. Okay, we are adding from C3. Can you see that? C3 right up to E3. Therefore we are going to type that here. We say C3. Immediately we type. Can you see that Excel is already highlighting that? Excel is already highlighting that to say, okay, it means we are adding from here C3 to E3. Then we say colon. It represents the 2 I talked about. So from C3 to E3, we type it capital letter E3. Now can you see that it's highlighting everything that is going to be added? And then we close our bracket, shift 0. After that, we punch enter on the keyboard. We punch enter on the keyboard or tap enter. This is enter. Enter, and voila, you've got your first total. Now, instead of doing that with all these learners, up to maybe 60 learners that you have in your class, all you do is just autofill that. We call this autofill. We do the same thing that we did with these numbers. Do you remember? The autofill. So we click here, and then in this rectangle, we go to the dot. You move right up to this dot here. Immediately your cursor turns into a plus sign. You click and hold. Click and hold. And then swipe down. Swipe down up to the last person. Now Excel has calculated all the marks for term 1 for the 10 learners. That is how easy Excel makes life. Now we can go and calculate the percentage, but because this is already out of 100, it will give us 100. But then, just for argument's sake, we can do that. Equal sign. Now we are going to say, when we calculate our percentage, this multiply will be a star on your keyboard. This multiplied by 100 divided by, that is the / divided by 100. Enter. It's still giving us 42 because it's out of 100. We can autofill those. It's still going to give us the same marks because it is still 100. Colleagues, now we must come to a point where we work out the levels here. Okay, you can see here we've got even level, we don't have a level 7. We can change these marks here just to change for one person so that we are going to have a level 7. Can't you change this to 40? Change this to 10. Change this to 45. And maybe this, yeah, this will give us a level 7. So how do we do this? We have to park here, right, on cell H3. But we are on cell H3. We are going to be calculating what we find here on the percentage. Okay, so the first thing we do is punch the equal sign. Once we have punched the equal sign, we type if. We are going to use a formula called the nested if. So we say if, then we open the bracket. If G3, we are talking about this cell reference here. If G3 is greater than, look for the sign greater than in your, it's next to the question mark. If G3 is greater than 80, then we put a comma. We introduce the level that must be given, and it must be in inverted commas. Therefore, the level must be level 7. Close the inverted commas. Okay, put a comma. Why? We are introducing a new if statement or a new argument. Then we type again if, and then we open the bracket. If G3 is greater than or equal to 70, comma, let us introduce a level and put a comma to introduce another if argument. If, open bracket, G3 is greater than or equal to 60, we have to put a comma to introduce the appropriate level. Therefore, the level will be level 5, inverted comma 5, close inverted comma, put a comma to introduce the new if statement. We type if again. If, open a bracket to introduce the argument G3, if G3 is greater than or equal to, now this time we are going to say 50 and then put a comma to introduce the level, open bracket, and then we award the appropriate level, which is level 4, close inverted comma, put a comma, and then if, open bracket to introduce the argument G3 is greater than or equal to, this time it's going to be 40, then put a comma, introduce the appropriate level, therefore open inverted comma, then the appropriate level will be 3, appropriate level will be 3, and then we close a comma again, and then introduce the if statement, open bracket, G3, if G3 is greater than or equal to, this time we'll be working on 30, and then put a comma and introduce the appropriate level 2, close inverted comma, we put a comma. Instead of introducing another if statement, we consider that anything less than this now is going to be a level 1, so we immediately introduce a level 1. We put the 1 there, and then remember we have always been opening the brackets but not closing them, and we did that 6 times. Therefore we have to close the bracket now 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and we hit enter. There's our level. It's correct. If you click on the level itself, it will now give you the nested if formula correctly typed for all the levels. We've got level 7, we've got level 6, we've got level 5, we've got level 4, we've got level 3, and of course we've got level 2 and level 1. Therefore our formula is correct. All we do now is just autofill this. So we have this formula, we just move towards the corner there. Once the thing turns into the cursor turns into a plus sign, we click and hold and drag down, and all the levels are now effected, or all the levels have now been calculated. You can check it yourself. Now we can center these. Let us just select here and center, so that to select here, just click there and hold down shift, punch the down arrow up to there, and remember our centering icon there. We click there. They are now centered. We can change the color there and make it red. Can you see where I am? Change the color to red. Our levels are red. We can even change this one to red, align it to the center as well. There you go. So the levels will automatically change according to how the marks change. Everything else will change according to how the environment or the numbers, the variables change. I hope you found this interesting and are ready to do your own mark sheet as well. Let us continue. How about we put some lines now, Now we are creating a real mark sheet. And by the way, we have not written the heading of this mark sheet. So we have to go back to one, right click again and click insert. It will now give us a chance to type. I'm going to say grade 10A composite mark sheet. Okay, and then this is ugly because it's towards the corner there and it's, you know, it's not centered properly. So we can just select, click here, hold down shift, punch the right arrow key on the keyboard up to here, and then we go to this home ribbon here, and once we are on the home ribbon, we move down here to merge and center. We merge and center. Can you see merge and center will remove the lines, the grid lines in here, and it will center this. So because this is a heading, we can click on it and choose a different font type, Arial black, and perhaps even change the font size to something like 20. Now can you see that it fills up this term 1 mark sheet properly? Now we need to have some lines. If we need to have lines here, we can click here and hold, swipe down right up to the end of the mark sheet and release. Go to the home ribbon and move down here where you have your bottom border, blah blah blah. Just click on that. I want to show you properly here what we are doing. You don't click on this, it's going to insert the bottom border, okay, because that was the previously selected or chosen border. Instead, you go to this little triangle here, you click. That will give you now a whole range of borders that you can choose from, and then you decide to go for all borders. Can you see that? All borders. I've chosen all borders. I click all borders and all the borders are now inserted and my marks are within a properly constituted mark sheet. Now we are not done. We do not have totals at the end of the mark sheet. I want to show you something very important, colleagues. If you click here, there is something called AutoSum here, but the danger of this is the following. Look at this. If I click on AutoSum, look at what happens. Instead of AutoSum adding just the marks of the learners, it went on to add the totals. At one time, I had to turn from moderation session because of this, and go back to rework my mark sheet because it was incorrect. I had incorrectly added the totals as well, just to say how much is this task out of, written out of. So instead of just excluding these, I had added these. So it's important to make sure that these stand out. I'm going to make them stand out. In fact, now I'm going to choose Arial black so that you are constantly reminded that this is not part of the marks. Okay, you can even shade that. Let us shade this whole band. Right click here and then format cells. I can say fill. All right, and I can fill that with yellow and click OK. Look what happens now. I am quite sure that I will not add the whole thing, and I do not recommend you using AutoSum, just to avoid that danger. Instead of using AutoSum, you'd rather do the following: equal sign sum, okay, and then open the bracket. Once you have opened the bracket, now you click here, okay. After clicking there, you hold down shift and then you punch your down arrow up to here. Once you are satisfied that you have now selected all the variables, shift close bracket. Don't mind if you don't see it there, it's underneath this, it's underneath the writing there. Okay, and then punch enter. It will give you the correct total. From there you click on the total itself, and then you move like we have been doing all along. You autofill, you move towards the corner of the rectangle, you click and hold, and then you drag towards the right. If I could summarize, in Excel you do not have to use a calculator. That's number one, and that's the most powerful advantage over any other application that you have. I see colleagues doing their mark sheets on Word. There's no problem with that, but when it comes to calculations, then you are at a disadvantage. It's better then to do your calculations on, or your mark sheets on Excel, so that you are also able to auto calculate everything that is in there. You can create any mathematically possible formula here. If it can be done with a calculator, it can be done here. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.